28 Years Later is available on Netflix, and I finally got around to watching it. Honestly, I don't know what took me so long to watch it. I love the first one, and for some reason I never saw 28 Years Later in the theater when it came out several months ago, and I finally got around to it, so I'm excited to share my thoughts. As the title implies, it takes place 28 years later after the initial outbreak from the first movie. This time we really get to see what's going on in the world, but at the beginning of the movie, we get a quick text letting us know essentially the world is fine. It's just the island of England that is infected. They're kind of there stuck alone to fend for themselves indefinitely. I'm not really sure what I was expecting of this movie, but I don't think I got it. That's not necessarily a bad thing, though. I originally thought this was going to be a movie about what the world looked like 28 years later after the initial infection, but this movie kind of just lets you know that the world is normal. It's just this one secluded place that is different in dealing with the infection. Anyways, the story revolves around a man and his son who live on an island secluded from the mainland. They live in their own town, they're free from the infected, so they don't have to worry about any of the virus or any of the infected in their town. Now, the man and the son go to the main island where they see the infected, they hunt the new infected, and we get to see the world where all these zombies live. When they first go to the mainland, I felt a lot of dread throughout. Obviously, these zombies are infected and angry. If you ever saw the first one, you know they run really fast, but now these zombies, they actually run in packs, and they even have their own alpha leader. The alpha leader is a big, beefy male who's stronger, smarter, faster, and meaner than the rest. The first half of this movie is actually pretty scary. There's a lot of tension as Jamie and Spike, the father and son who are hunting, are being chased throughout the island. They have to get back to their village, but the high tide is stopping them, and during this part of the movie, I felt real dread building. Now, the second half of this movie takes quite a different direction. Spike's mom is sick, but there's no doctor on the island, and Spike takes his mom to the mainland to see the crazy doctor, blah, blah, blah. The second half of this movie's a lot less scary, but I still did enjoy it quite a bit. I'm not going to go into spoilers, but the second half of this movie does slow down quite a bit from the tension, and you get to learn more about the boy and his mother's relationship, while also learning about the secret doctor played by Ralph Fiennes. Overall, this movie really did feel like a Danny Boyle movie. It had a lot of grit of his old movies, although the shots were still quite beautiful and far from the low visual quality that was 28 Years Later. And if you ever saw 28 Years Later, it looks like it was shot on the first camera ever made. It's just a rough movie to look at. It has its own grit and charm, but it's not a great visual quality movie. In this movie, we get to see beautiful green landscapes, and the imagery throughout is both gorgeous and terrifying. Personally, I'm glad that Danny Boyle and Alex Garland came back to make this one together. It feels right that they teamed up and made a solid movie. Now, I didn't see many reviews of this movie before I watched it, but afterwards I immediately went online and checked what the reviews were, and surprisingly, they were quite divided. But I do think I know what's going on here. I think we all wanted to see a world of evolved viruses 28 years later, but instead we kind of got this somewhat small, contained story about a family dealing with this virus. And let's be honest, this virus doesn't really affect anywhere but England, and it feels very small. The story was never really meant to be huge though, and you can kind of feel that throughout. Instead, we got these evolved, infected, creepy doctors and villagers trying to survive throughout. Personally, I actually enjoyed 28 Years Later quite a bit. At times I felt scared, filled with dread, and I even connected with the characters. I wanted to see these characters have a happy ending. Now, I'm not going to spoil it throughout. I'm not going to say what happened, but I can say I cared about them, and even though the story didn't have a massive plot, it did make me care enough to see what was going to happen in the end. I think I'm going to give 28 Years Later 4 out of 5 Fs. Originally, when I watched it, I wanted to give it 4.5 out of 5 Fs, but I haven't really thought about this movie again in the last few days because I watched it about a week ago, and I kind of forgot about it, so I think I'm going to take off half a point for that. If you haven't seen 28 Years Later, I think you'll like it if you go into it with different expectations. Don't expect to see this grandiose world where there's zombies plaguing everywhere in America or China or Japan or in Africa. It's just England. It's just a small world with this small family dealing with the virus. Thanks so much for watching, and for movie reviews, video game reviews, and much more, follow and subscribe to FF Media. Thanks so much.